where of course it's budget day. Where would you rather be? And it's for the first time in 15 years that there will be a budget surplus at least forecast. A relatively surprising one at that, given where the budget situation was only a year ago. Let's bring in Trudy McIntosh. Trudy, this is one heck of a turnaround when we go through the previous forecast. It's not delivered yet, we'll only know in September, but the previous forecast for this financial year.
And this is the calculated risk by Jim Chalmers. He's got to hope that the numbers don't suddenly get worse over the next 7 weeks before the end of the financial year. But look, it is a big turnaround in the numbers of where the budget position is. Treasurer Jim Chalmers tonight will announce that we will see a wafer-thin budget surplus. We'll show you the numbers where things were just before the last election under the coalition. The deficit was forecast to come in at $78 billion. In the first budget we saw from Labor, that was revised down to just under $37 billion. And tonight, that number has gone into the green, back in black. $4 billion surplus is what we will hear from Jim Chalmers tonight, thanks in part to the booming commodity price, the low unemployment rate. But Jim Chalmers says he's not getting ahead of himself. They're not going to whip out the back in black mugs like we saw Josh Frydenberg and Scott Morrison do. Is there any credit from the opposition? Angus Taylor out early this morning, the Shadow Treasurer, certainly not giving Jim Chalmers a pat on the back, not that you'd expect that. He's also setting up a pretty impossible test for the Treasurer when it comes to having to deliver surpluses going forward.
Drover's dog could deliver a budget surplus this year. We need to see budget balance across the medium term, across the forwards, and that will take pressure off inflation on a sustainable basis.
All right, so not all that impressed. Big test from the coalition on inflation, and fair enough, the dominant issue, and we'll see what the sort of predictions are, why Labor's saying it won't be inflationary, some of their spending. Countdown's on, not long until we have the budget lock-up, and we'll find out finally some of the things we already know, but some of the other things are sort of hints we want to see fleshed out and what some of the detail is, especially around welfare payments.
Yeah, some of the big question marks. We still don't know what's going to happen, particularly on JobSeeker, and also some of the big parts of that cost of living package. We'll run you through the spending that we have found out ahead of budget day. It includes $14 billion for the aged care wage rise, the money in there for power bill relief, $2 billion or so for Medicare, $700 million for the NDIS, and that controversial $300 million for the Tasmanian AFL Stadium. There is revenue-raising measures in tonight's budget by the Treasurer. They've ended the low and middle income tax offset, increased the tobacco tax, that controversial superannuation tax hike. That's not until 2025, but we will see the revenue included tonight, and the petroleum resource rent tax. The question marks are really crucial here. JobSeeker, how much will that increase be, and will it be right across the board? Is there more rent relief? This is a big push coming by the Greens. And finally, the stage 3 tax cuts. They're controversial. We'll get an updated figure on how much they cost today, Tom, whether this reignites that argument about whether they need to be pared back.
Often you get quite a bit of the nice previewed, so what will we find out about the nasty, which could be cuts or revenue raising in some form. So that'll be another thing to keep an eye on. Trudy, thank you.